let's see if I can get this going here. And we're live. We're going. I got everything moving here. Wow. The Sacramento Kings have made a trade, everybody. In case you haven't seen it. Wow. They traded Marvin Bagley and actually got real assets. Can you believe it? The NBA trade deadline is just a little under 3 hours away. And the Kings are the first ones to make a move, a part of a 4-team deal that included the Detroit Pistons, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Clippers, and obviously the Kings. So here is the deal in its full landscape here, right? So the Sacramento Kings have traded away Marvin Bagley to the Detroit Pistons. And in return, they get Donte DiVincenzo, Trey Lyles, and Josh Jackson. The Milwaukee Bucks acquire Serge Ibaka, 2 future second-round picks, and cash. And the Clippers acquire Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye. To me, this is a big win for the Kings. Big win. And I'm at the point now where what's next? Because they keep acquiring this wing depth. And they finally got their guy, Donte DiVincenzo. If you guys don't remember, Donte DiVincenzo was the guy the Kings were targeting during the trade for Bogdanovich to the Bucks that then got rescinded. So Monty finally got his guy. They got the white Donte in Sacramento. And is that the shooting guard that they're looking for? I don't know. But I said it on yesterday's postgame show with my boy Ty. And it was, I'm okay with the Kings being very loose with who they start, or I'm okay with them being more loose at a shooting guard position, whether you need more defense or you need more 3-point shooting. As long as you acquire 3-and-D players, that's all I really want to see at that shooting guard spot is a consistent 3-point shooter that sits well next to Fox and Sabonis and Barnes and things like that. And according to reports early on in the day as well from Sam Amick of The Athletic, that the Kings don't feel as if they're going to be trading Harrison Barnes today, unless it's going to be for a significant piece in return that helps them win now as well as for the future. I don't believe Harrison Barnes gets moved today. And I think that they saw a lot of promise in their deal to acquire Sabonis yesterday, that they are extremely excited for what they can get. And I think that's why you're going to see them go after a lot of these small end deals, even though I think Donte DiVincenzo is a huge acquisition for him. So I love the deal. I'm going to try and get James Ham on in a little bit, both on Spaces or on YouTube, not sure yet. Hopefully you can get the Kings Insider on. I'll probably get Leo Biaz on here in a little bit as well. Ty said he's going to come on when the class is over, probably right after the deadline. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts. It's going to be crazy. You guys let me know. It looks like another deal also is about to go through, which is going to be the Spurs and the Raptors. Obviously, the Thad Young deal. Goran Dragic is going to get bought out. Probably is going to go to Dallas from all reporting. So from people that I've spoke to that are like close to the team, again, I'm not a sources guy. I don't ever pretend that I'm a sources guy, that I know everything. But I have heard that the Kings are shopping Richaun Holmes. What that gets back, I'm not 100% sure, but I'm interested to see what that's going to be. And I thought it was funny that Twitter got really up in arms when I posted the face, because I heard that Bagley was getting traded to Detroit. I didn't know it was a part of a 4-team deal, though. But to acquire Donte DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, and Trey Lyles, and have that depth now on the wing, 3-and-D players. Josh Jackson really not 3-and-D, just more of defense, but he showed a lot of promise when he got minutes. I love the Trey Lyles acquisition. I just feel like he's a nice backup to Sabonis as a scoring big, as a scoring four. But I think just the writing's on the wall that Richaun Holmes is possibly on his way out. He's on a 4-year deal, great contract. There's teams out there that need him, you know. I've seen the reports that the Raptors are going after Porzingis. How well does that work out now that Dragic is gone? Because that was the initial reporting. It was going to be a Dragic and something else for Porzingis. Definitely don't see that happening now. But the Raptors do need a center. Is there something there for Richaun Holmes? I keep saying Gary Trent Jr., but I've been told that the Raptors will laugh. Raptors fans will laugh at me if I even bring that up. But I'm bringing it up again anyways because I don't give an F. I like the Hornets. Can you get a big deal done? I keep bringing up the deal that I love the most is the Harrison Barnes, Richaun Holmes, Terrence Davis, and in return, in a 2024 protected first, and in return you get Book Knight, Hayward, and PJ Washington. I think the writing's on the wall now that the Kings aren't going to acquire Jeremy Grant. That's just pure speculation now that the deal is done, that Bagley is now out of the Sacramento Kings uniform. And trust me, I bet you guys are pumped now, right? I bet you guys are very excited now that the Kings have finally moved off of that Marvin Bagley. The former number 2 pick can finally stop looking at him and say, dang, we should have had Luka. But again, if you guys want to join the conversation, please feel free to hit the microphone button. You will be live on YouTube, youtube.com/SacKingsNation, or on my Twitter Spaces, so you can go live either way. I will be putting the link to join live on YouTube in the chat now. You guys are more than welcome to join us then. And this show is brought to you by FanDuel.com. Everyone go to FanDuel.com, whether it's for the sports book or for doing DFS. Feel free to use promo code KingsCourt. That's right, the name of this podcast, Kings Court, and they will match up to $500 of your very first deposit. I also want to say this show is sponsored by RateCrushers.com. Everyone go to RateCrushers.com, whether that be for insurance on leisure items like boating, motorcycles, house, medical, anything. They will have you covered. They will make sure that you are covered correctly and you're not overpaying for your insurance. So go to RateCrushers.com. Let them know that the guys at the Kings Court sent you there. Again, moves are starting to be made. The Sacramento Kings making the biggest splash of them all so far early in this morning of the trade deadline, which is a little under 3 hours away. The Sacramento Kings have acquired Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, and Trey Lyles from the Detroit Pistons in a deal that sends Marvin Bagley to the Pistons, Serge Ibaka to the Bucks, and Rodney Hood to the Clippers. I love this trade for the Kings. Again, I think they're going full build around their two guys in Sabonis and Fox. And again, I'm one of those guys that love this trade right away. I never steered away from it. I always believed that was the correct trade to make. And I'm going to try and see if my boy Leo can hop on right here now and join the conversation. But I've always believed that was the trade to make. It never wavered for me. I know that a lot of people thought that they traded away the wrong guard and all these other things. But for me, it made sense that they wanted to add another scorer next to a top-tier scorer like Fox, right? They wanted to have that guy that can score 20 a night. And that was the one hypothetical thing that we heard all the time, right? Was, on any given night, you can have Fox go off for 20, or you can have Buddy go off for 20, or you can have Tyrese possibly. Like, those were maybes. I believe now that with a Fox and Sabonis combination, a 1-2 punch of a guard big, you will see two guys that can dictate the offense, the pace of the game, and score 20 points consistently. And I think that's huge. I think that's something you definitely want to see. Let's see if I can get him to join on in. It doesn't look like he's capable of joining. Hopefully he'll join on here soon. But I want to hear your guys' thoughts. You guys let me know. Are you buying in to these trades? Are you liking everything Monty is doing so far to acquire Sabonis, to really start a new build for this Kings team. And everything that we heard from the Kings, or the Kings' new players, was was that they wanted to find a home. They feel like they've found one in Sacramento. But what else are they going to say, right? What more could they really say? I don't think that was ever really going to change. It's just great to hear. The Kings are, and here's another thing. The Kings are going to own the bird rights to Domantas Sabonis. So all of you out there that's like, oh, Sabonis is just going to walk. He's not going to want to stay in Sacramento. The difference here, though, is that the Kings are going to be able to offer him that 5-year deal. They're going to be able to offer him the max. And at 25 years old, a 2-time All-Star, to offer him, your 2 max players are going to be Fox and Sabonis. No more having to worry about that $20 million a year for Buddy Hield. Build around these two. Build these core. You're now adding defense to your perimeter with Dante DiVincenzo and Justin Holiday and Josh Jackson now. The defensive wings is what the Kings have been lacking. Perimeter defense. Down low, they had a nice help side defense with Richaun Holmes. I like Richaun Holmes, but Sabonis is obviously the better setter there. I do think there's going to be times where you could see Holmes and trying to see if there's any more trades popping off. Holmes and Sabonis play together, but in all likelihood, to me, I do believe that Holmes will be traded here by the 3 p.m. trade deadline. Again, this show is brought to you by FanDuel and RateCrushers.com. Let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. Do you guys like these moves? What are you expecting? Are we expecting James Harden to be traded today? I can't tell from all of this reporting. Like it was, oh, this isn't real, right? Like we were hearing Woj saying these people spewing out and saying that talks are happening. I really don't believe that to be true. And now we're hearing, oh, Harden really wants to be traded, but he doesn't want to say it publicly. You're saying it publicly right now. What do you mean he doesn't want to say it publicly? So I feel like there's just a lot of smoke. A lot of people just planting stories. I mean, the Doc Rivers saying, oh, we really need a guard. That was an interesting little take. But Doc's always been known to be such a unique coach in that way, where he knows when eyes are on him and he knows when he needs to say what he needs to say. But does he get traded? I'm gonna just say no. I don't think he gets traded. And the biggest reason why I don't think he gets traded is because, one, I do believe that the Nets are gonna have that Raptors approach of, we need him to win the championship. How do we even know Ben Simmons is going to play as soon as he gets traded? We are so downplaying the mental health of this guy. And again, rightfully so, right? I mean, maybe he really is going through something mentally. We really don't know. It's hard to really talk about it. But to get Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle, this is the structure of the deal that keeps being reported, is the Nets want Thybulle, they want Seth Curry, they want Ben Simmons, and they want Andre Drummond. One team not mentioned is the Miami Heat. Despite the trade in July, Miami is eligible to sign their former point guard because he had a stopover in Toronto. So Bobby Marks is suggesting that the Miami Heat may bring back Goran Dragic. Interesting. Very interesting. Huh. But I feel like that's what the league and everyone is waiting for. I really believe that there's a lot of trades that are in the works right now, but everyone wants to know, are the Nets making that deal? And I really don't think it's happening. They're going to take that Raptors approach, what they did with Kawhi, and just really wait it out. And if he's going to leave, he's going to leave, but winning cures all. When KD comes back, and if they're psychics and they know that the New York mayor is going to lift the ban and Kyrie can start playing home games in the playoffs or whatever, I think that'll be interesting. How would they know that, though? I mean, I do think the package is solid, though. If they can get Seth, Simmons, Thibault, and Drummond, and the Sixers get James Harden and Patty Mills, they get veterans, they get win now moves. What moves do they have to make in the offseason to acquire a max deal for James Harden, right? Like that's the big question mark there. On top of, man, you really have to believe that Harden's going to come. Why not go full throttle and go get him? And on the Nets side, you have to really believe he's going to stay. It's such a weird negotiating tactic that's going on between the two, and I'm interested to see how that works out. But man, there's still more to come, according to James Ham. And again, the biggest trade of the day so far has included the Sacramento Kings, which I cover closely here. So the Sacramento Kings were a part of a 4-team deal that traded Marvin Bagley to the Detroit Pistons. And in return, the Sacramento Kings got Dante DiVincenzo from the Milwaukee Bucks. They got Trey Lyles and Josh Jackson. The Bucks acquired... I'm trying to pull up the full trade here. The Bucks acquired Serge Ibaka, 2 future first-round picks, as well as some cash. And then the Clippers got Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye. I think Ibaka... Dude, the Bucks are scary, bro. Bobby Portis has been good for them, but to get Serge Ibaka to back him, I think this is a sign that they don't really know if Brook Lopez is going to be coming back. But to get a defensive power forward center in Ibaka, someone that's been in the playoffs, someone that has experience making it to the finals and winning a finals and joining this team with their winning culture, man, this could be a big move for the Bucks just in terms of their depth and having another vocal leader like Serge Ibaka added. But again, James Ham, who covers the Sacramento Kings here in Sacramento, says that there's going to be more to this trade. And I don't believe it's going to be anything with Jeremy Grant. Just to be clear, I don't think Jeremy Grant is a part of this deal. I really don't know. My full speculation is Jeremy Grant waits until the offseason before he's traded, unless something is changed here in the next 2.5 hours, hour and a half or so, whatever, 3 p.m. trade deadline. But I want to hear you guys' thoughts. Again, we are live on Twitter Spaces. We're live here on YouTube. You guys can join the conversation. Your video will be popped up right here on this feed on YouTube, or as well as the Twitter Spaces. Just hit that speaker button and let me hear your thoughts on this trade. Again, this show is brought to you by FanDuel.com. Everyone go to FanDuel.com, whether it be for the sportsbook or for the DFS side. Use promo code KingsCourt, the name of this podcast, and they will match up to $500 of your very first deposit, as well as RateCrushers.com, whether it be leisure insurance, mortgage insurance, house insurance, renter insurance, car insurance. RateCrushers.com. Make sure they have you covered and you are not overpaying for insurance. Give them a call today, RateCrushers.com, and let them know that you heard of them from the King's Court. I've been talking, I feel like, about trades and everything since probably midnight last night. I mean, I did the post-game show for the Kings, so I'm a little drained here in terms of my voice. But, man, I would love to hear the reactions. And I appreciate all of you guys joining here on YouTube. It looks like we got about 25 people here joining on YouTube, like 3 to 5 on Twitter. So we're still growing the feed. Been only going for about 15 minutes, so I'm excited to see once these trades go down. Do you guys think James Harden gets traded? That's a big one for me. I think everyone wants to know if that's going to happen. Gut feeling on things that I've heard is Richaun Holmes is being shopped. What for? Not 100% sure. Does this make the Kings done now that they have wing depth? Dante DiVincenzo's been their guy. They got the white Dante. They now got Justin Holiday, who I think that they're very pumped that they got in that Sabonis deal for Tyrese. Also, a lot of Kings fans, are you guys pumped now that you saw a game with Sabonis and Fox together? You got to see a little bit of what Jeremy Lamb could be on a good night I mean, bad shooting, but 12 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists. I feel like he's the upgrade over Terrence Davis. He's going to take a lot of those Terrence Davis minutes. Justin Holiday's defense, solid. I believe he's shooting 38% from 3 this season. Career 37% from 3-point shooting. Veteran leader, true professional. And I feel like these guys have all said the right things, you know. They just want to feel like they found a home, and then they love it here in Sacramento already. But at the same time, what else are you going to say? Oh, I'd never liked it here. I don't think that anyone will ever say that. But they have a real potential to have a nasty 1-2 punch between Fox and Sabonis. Do you still think they traded the wrong guard? I tweeted this out this morning because I was going through Twitter, and I just see so many people changing their minds or changing the entire conversation. It went from, I hate this trade. The Kings are dumb. What are the Kings doing? They traded the wrong guard. He wanted to be here. Kings win in a very exciting fashion over the Timberwolves. And it goes, wow, Sabonis is really good. This is the most fun I've had watching the Kings. Kings ran a 2-guard, 2-forward, and a center lineup. I'm in love. Fox is an all-star in 2023. And lastly was, I'm a Kings fan now. Those were all real quotes from people on Twitter, both mainstream media and just people that I follow here on my Twitter. And I thought that was hilarious. Again, you guys can join the show. Let me hear you guys' thoughts as we're waiting for more trades to drop. If you're late to the conversation, I see we're getting a few more viewers here. The Sacramento Kings have been a part of the biggest trade. We'll go over all the trades here now, right? It was a 4-team deal. It was Kings acquired Dante DiVincenzo, Trey Lyles, and Josh Jackson. The Bucks get Serge Ibaka, 2 future second-round picks, and cash. Clippers get Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye, and the Pistons acquire Marvin Bagley. And applaud Monty McNair. Marvin Bagley was joked about as, man, you get third round pick for him. You get a Bucks second round pick maybe. But no, Marvin Bagley turned into Dante DiVincenzo, Trey Lyles, and Josh Jackson. Now again, James Hand says there's more to this deal, but I like Josh Jackson. I think he just knows how to play the game of basketball. I'm not saying he's a good basketball player. I'm just saying that he's a serviceable backup wing that on any given night can provide a nice little scoring uptick. But it's nothing truly special. But again, I like that. I like that there's a backup in Trey Lyles that gives you scoring down low, also stretches the floor out a little bit. I just feel like now with Sabonis, Lyles, Metu, Jones, Len, and Holmes, another trade is going to be coming, and it really could be Richaun Holmes on the move. Could it be maybe a deal, and this is one that I keep floating out there as well, which is, do they reach out to Minnesota and ask to acquire Malik Beasley? That would be a good one. And do we have the horn? What's the horn? Breaking news, guys. Breaking news. Another trade has just went down. The Celtics are trading PJ Dozier and Bol for a future second round pick, cash to the Magic for a second round pick. Dozier and Bol are both out for the season. Cost saving for the Celtics. Let me see if he wrote it a little bit better. So this is it again. The Celtics are trading PJ Dozier and Bol, a future second round pick, and cash to the Magic for a future second round pick. So it was just a cash saving move. Again, nothing big. I think the Celtics are still looking to move off of Dennis Schroeder. The Bucks have been looked at as someone that they thought that they can get, but in those reported deals for a Schroeder trade was, Dante DiVincenzo, who is now a part of the Sacramento Kings. So I wonder where he can go now. I'm not 100% sure what other teams could use a guy in Schroeder. I mean, obviously the Lakers could use Schroeder, but supposedly they don't want him back, which is just ridiculous. Don't be petty. It's a business. So very interesting deal. The other deals that have been made and announced that are at least public, the Spurs are trading for Goran Dragic, and they're giving up Thad Young. And the Spurs, who are trading for the Raptors, Goran Dragic, are expected to negotiate a contract buyout for Dragic. Among teams interested are the Dallas Mavericks, the Milwaukee Bucks, the Chicago Bulls, and the Los Angeles Clippers. Now, Bobby Marks came out right after this post was made by Adrian Wojnarowski and said that the team that is a dark horse to land Goran Dragic was the Miami Heat, and he makes a return back to the team that, you know, he really just grew a culture over there with. I mean, Goran Dragic is loved in Miami. He could go back. He could return. They could use a backup point guard. Do I see that happening? Probably not, but possibility there. I'd love to see him in Dallas. I think that's the team he goes to if he gets bought out, by the way. I do think he goes to Dallas. Let's see. Thad Young to Toronto. I think that's another buyout candidate there. The deal also has Toronto acquiring Eubanks from San Antonio. Interesting part of that deal. But again, no crazy trades away from the 4-team deal that the Sacramento Kings were a part of, where they acquired Dante DiVincenzo, Trey Lyles, and Josh Jackson. You guys can join the conversation there in the eCam chat. I'm putting it in the chat now once again. You guys are capable of joining the show live here on YouTube. If you wish, give me your guys' thoughts on the current trades, what you guys would like to expect. How pumped are you that Marvin Bagley is now officially out of Sacramento? Do you think that the Bucks got better because they traded for Serge Ibaka, another veteran that's been in a finals, won a finals? I mean, I feel like it's also might be a sign that they don't know if Brook Lopez is coming back. So that's very interesting to see. But yeah, whether it's on Twitter Spaces or on YouTube, feel free to hit the speaker button. You'll be able to hear the Twitter Spaces on YouTube as well. So if you're listening through Twitter, go ahead and push that button. If you're watching on YouTube, there's an eCam right there. You guys will join live video cam right here on the show. We'll see how that works out. But more moves to be made. Again, it's been very quiet with just a couple hours left until the trade deadline. And I truly believe everyone is waiting, holding their breath to see, is James Harden being moved? Will we see Ben Simmons off the Sixers? And does this trade automatically make now the Sixers the favorites possibly in the East? That's something that I've been like really pondering, because for me it's always been the Bucks. I've always said the Bucks are number one. They're the team to beat. They've set themselves to be the front runners to come out of the East. Then after that, it was going to be the Nets when they have their trio. Just if KD, Kyrie, and Harden are all playing, I loved it. That was always going to be my number two. But I just think Bucks continuity. They've stayed together. They've won a championship together. Defense, offense, they have it all. So they were always my number one. Number two is the Nets. I just never believed that the Sixers were going to be that type of team without Ben Simmons, so I never really knew. But Joel Embiid has just had such a phenomenal year. MVP season. And applaud Joel Embiid. I think you're going to see back-to-back seasons where centers were the MVP. And I remember there was a long year span, like what was it, like 5 years since the last time we saw a center win MVP. So to see back-to-back years of centers winning MVP, applaud that, right? But Joel Embiid is just having a monstrous year, the best basketball he has played in his entire career, and now you can possibly add a top 25 player, a future MVP, in James Harden next to him. Does that make them the front runners? Because Harden isn't the Harden from Houston that was going head to head with the Golden State Warriors. This Harden is a little bit bigger. You know, I'm not gonna body shame anybody with my body. You know what I mean? But we built the same. We big boned. We drank beers. That beer belly's real for James Harden. And does his ability to pass and willingness to shoot threes, and they go in, I mean, it's not like James Harden isn't a shooter, does that make the Sixers the front runner in the East? Especially in the deal, if the Sixers have to give up Seth Curry, because this is the projected trade. This is what everyone keeps saying is possibly out there, which is they would have to give up Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, Ben Simmons, and Matisse Thybulle. And in return, they would get James Harden and Patty Mills. So you get the shooting. You still get to keep Patty Mills. And I think Patty Mills, while he might not be the young guy that Seth Curry is, he's still a great shooter. He's been phenomenal this season for the Nets. The guy puts the ball in the hole from 3-point range. It's solid. I mean, and you get the duo of Mills and Danny Green, which is Spurs right there. So you kind of like that, right? But does that automatically make you a contender when you lose the depth, the defensive prowess of Thybulle? I mean, I don't know. Your guys' thoughts, leave them in the comment section below. Let me know what you guys think. Are the Nets the favorites if they land James Harden and Patty Mills in a trade for Ben Simmons? If that's the trade that happens, are they your new favorites, or do you think the Bucks have still set themselves so far and away from the rest of the pack in the East that they're the team to beat still? Giannis is just that good. I mean, he really is that good. He could be in the conversation for MVP every single season. I also still think the dark horse is the Miami Heat. It's just because they're not afraid of anybody. They just can't stay healthy, and I think they are healthy. It's just more of like rest Miami, stay ready for the playoffs. But they just haven't been healthy. But you're going to get Bam, you're going to get Kyle Lowry, and you're going to get Jimmy Butler ready to go in the playoffs. And I think that's something that a team that no one wants to play. And if they make it to an Eastern Conference Finals, they're going to make it scrappy, and you're going to have to earn it. It's very interesting. Very interesting. But I don't know if you can waste a year like this for how well Joel Embiid is playing. So for those who are joining in, it looks like we're getting more and more viewers. I want to thank you guys all for joining. Again, my name is Vince Miracle. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of @VMCenter. I cover the NBA for multiple different websites for Cowbell Kingdom, Basketball Zone. I work on their YouTube channel as well, hosting a lot of post-game shows and doing my own little side videos over there. I also worked for Sac Kings Nation. I've worked all over around the league. I've had some great guests on this show. We're expected to have some good guests here down the road once the trade deadline is passed. I have my buddy Ty on. We're going to have Leo Biaz on. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can get Josh Lloyd or James Ham to join the show. So big name, big guest that I'm working on getting done. Nothing confirmed yet, but we're working on getting done as we are locking in on this trade deadline that is only a few hours away. The biggest trade so far has included the Sacramento Kings, as the Kings traded away Marvin Bagley in a 4-team deal. The Kings acquire Trey Lyles, Josh Jackson, and Dante DiVincenzo as they send off Marvin Bagley to the Detroit Pistons. The Bucks acquire Serge Ibaka and second-round picks and cash, and the Clippers acquire Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye. Very interesting deal. The other deals that have been made is Goran Dragic is going to the San Antonio Spurs, where they expect to have a buyout in the works. Teams targeting Dragic are the Dallas Mavericks, who I will say is the team that he signs with. The Milwaukee Bucks, the Chicago Bulls, and the Los Angeles Clippers. Dark horse team to land is his former team in the Miami Heat. Thad Young, Drew Eubanks, and the 2022 Pistons second-round pick goes to the Raptors in that deal for Dragic. So I think Thad Young's going to be another buyout candidate, and he's a player that a lot of these playoffs teams could look to acquire. I think if he gets bought out, maybe the Heat go after a Thad Young just to have a backup to PJ Tucker, and we haven't seen Keith in so long. Like, how good is he going to be? He's going to have to get work back into game shape. Thad, every time he gets minutes for the Spurs, he knows how to play his role. He's a true professional. I love it. And then lastly, the other deal that has been made is the Celtics traded away PJ Dozier, Bol, a future second-round pick, and cash to the Orlando Magic for a future second-round pick. Both Dozier and Bol are currently out for the season, so this was just a cost-saving move for the Boston Celtics, who I believe are still shopping Dennis Schroeder, figuring out what they can do next. Let me know your guys' thoughts on these trades down in the comment section below. You'll see in that comment section that you can join this show live by hitting that button and talking about these deals and seeing. I want to hear you guys' opinions. Do you think James Harden is going to get traded? What are your thoughts on the Kings' moves? What moves would you like to see? What trade ideas do you have in your head? I mean, I want to hear it all. Because for me, I don't believe Harden gets traded. I think that they're going to wait. I don't believe Jeremy Grant, who's been all over the news, I don't believe he gets traded. I think that they're going to wait until the offseason unless there's a big trade that can happen there. I don't know if the Kings are done. I still think they need a sharpshooter. Like, I think DiVincenzo and Holiday and Lamb, they're good scorers. Josh Jackson brings a nice defensive presence on the wing, but he's more of just a serviceable role player. Trey Lyles, again, a backup big. But there has to be another move for the Kings, right? They just have way too many bigs now with Lyles, Alex Len, Metu, Damon Jones, and Rashawn Holmes. Another trade has to happen here. You can't go in to the second half of the season with this many big men. But look, they went from having no wing depth at all, the Kings did, to now having a plethora of 3-and-D wings, right? From Barnes, Justin Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, Jeremy Lamb. I mean, if you want to include Terrence Davis, Mo Harkless. I mean, they went from having none to a ton. And you got to applaud Monty for that, for just fully diving in to this duo of Fox and Sabonis. And look, the media was trashing the Kings on this trade. And I was one of the very few that right when this trade was announced, I was in love. I've been calling Sabonis the Jokic of the East. And now, is that hyping him up a little bit too much? Yeah, probably. But he's a passing big man that can get you 20 a night. 20, 10, 12, whatever, 5 assists. He's a smart, high IQ basketball player. And when you can have a 1-2 punch of Fox and Sabonis, it changes the entire game for a couple reasons. Number one reason for me is that they both can dictate the pace of the game. They can play both fast and slow. It also makes their offense not so one-dimensional like it's always been, right? Kings fans have always heard space and pace, push the tempo. We're going to play fast. And now you get to move away from it. Now you get to say, hey, you know what? Let's run a triangle set, which we got to see a small triangle set yesterday during the second quarter of the Kings, where they threw the ball down low to Sabonis. Sabonis then wrapped the ball up to Mo Harkless, to Davion Mitchell, which then turned into a swing pass out to Harrison Barnes. Like, the Kings ran a different set other than one pick and roll and looking for shots. The ball was consistently moving, and I think it's because people just don't understand that Sabonis wants you and allows you to run give and goes. He wants you to move without the basketball, and that's how good of a player he is. Darren Fox, for as much as Kings fans wanted to hate on the trade for Halliburton, saying Halliburton was the better guard, I think you have to take into recognition that Fox has always been the point guard that had the ball in his hands throughout his entire NBA career, and through his entire basketball career. He has been the point guard with the ball in his hands, and no one talks about that enough. And then this season they asked him, hey, we want you to be the shooting guard, be able to slash to the basket. We're going to give you the ball, run an isolation, one pick and roll, and then get to your spot, and that's it. After a season where he had the ball in his hands the entire time, and he had career year numbers, 47.7% from the field, 25 points per game, a little over 7 assists and 1.5 steals. He's putting up DeJounte Murray numbers last season. And even with the struggles that we've seen him have this year, he struggled way worse through the first 15 games. People were complaining that he was shooting 39% from the field. Remember that? 39% from the field. This was, where's the De'Aaron Fox at? He's been bad. But even with that early struggle, Fox has improved. As I'm pulling up his stats right now, he improved on the year, and he continues to improve on the year now. After starting the year shooting 39% from the field and averaging, I think, like 15, 19 points per game, he's now shooting 46% from the field. 75% from the free throw line, 21.3 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, 1.2 steals, and only 2.8 turnovers per game. He's making his way back up. He's a guy that needs to have the ball in his hands. And if you can give him a heavy screener like Sabonis that allows Fox to move downhill, and then have a nice roller that has glue hands like Sabonis, or have the ability to get offensive rebounds like Sabonis, I think it opens up the game more. And I'm not saying that Halliburton's not going to be a really good player, but the Kings traded away potential to acquire a legit all-star to put next to Darren Fox. So I don't think the Kings traded the wrong guard. My biggest headache and gripe with people saying that. Hold on. Is this breaking news? Do I have to bring out the horn? Hold on. The Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers. Am I saying it? Is that it? Is it worth it? The Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers were engaged in trade talks this morning centered around James Harden. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. This is from Chris Haynes. That doesn't mean it's happening. That does not mean it's happening. I got a message here. Vince, I'm at work, so I can't help but do you think the Kings move Holmes? That's the question I got in from Mighty Montana. I do believe the Kings are going to move Holmes. That's one thing I do believe. Again, there's just too many big men on this Kings team right now. Again, I named them. I'll name them again. Alex Len, Rashawn Holmes, Damon Jones, Chimezie Metu, now Trey Lyles. There's just too many mouths to feed at that center position, and we're not even bringing in the fact that Sabonis is going to be the guy. Holmes is on a great contract. 4 years, $12 million a year, $10 million a year. And the team that I have circled in my mind as the ideal fit is the Charlotte Hornets. And PJ Washington is there. I don't know if you'd have to do another team in that deal, or what other contract you'd have to take on, or what other contracts the Hornets are even willing to give. But I know that the Hornets were prepared to offer Rashawn Holmes $16 million a year during the offseason until they acquired Mason Plumlee, and they thought, hey, discounted version. But, Rashawn Holmes would be a way better fit than Mason Plumlee. Mason Plumlee has struggled for the Hornets, and that's not even up for debate. He's just been bad. So if they can add that type of depth to their center position without having to give up Plumlee, I think that makes a lot of sense. But, yes, I do think Holmes is on the move. If I had to make a guess, Holmes is definitely on the move. For who? I'm not 100% sure. Another trade that I think the Kings are going to at least kick the tires on is Malik Beasley out of Minnesota. Could you do Alex Len, Mo Harkless, and Terrence Davis for Malik Beasley? Is that possible? And that I just don't know. I really don't know. It would be interesting to me if they could do that. I think it makes sense for them to do that. But yeah, that'll be a treat. But yes, I do think Holmes gets traded. But man, so Chris Haynes comes out and reports that the Brooklyn Nets and the 76ers were engaged. And I think the word were is very key here, because I don't know. Again, I don't believe that this trade is going to happen. So again, the report coming out of Yahoo Sports by Chris Haynes is the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers were engaged in trade talks this morning centered around James Harden. Sources tell Yahoo Sports. There's no details involved in it, just that they were engaged in trade talks. I think the word were there is very important. So it looks like the stream is starting to pick up a little bit of steam here. Again, my name is Vince Miracle. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of @VMCenter. This show is brought to you by FanDuel.com. Whether it's for the sportsbook or for DFS, you guys go to FanDuel.com and use promo code KingsCourt, and they will match up to $500 of your very first deposit. We are also sponsored by RateCrushers.com. Whether it be leisure insurance, motorcycle insurance, boat insurance, mortgage insurance, house insurance, or renter's insurance, car insurance, These guys have you covered. Make sure you are not overpaying just to be protected. Go to ratecrushers.com today, and when you're on the phone with them, let them know that you found them through the King's Court. Whew, guys, still no big trades. Again, I think the league is just waiting. It's a wait and see game. The biggest trade of the day, if you're joining in late, was the very first trade that was announced, which is a 4-team deal between the Milwaukee Bucks, the Detroit Pistons, the Sacramento Kings, and the Los Angeles Clippers. And in case you missed it, here it is here. The Sacramento Kings traded away Marvin Bagley III to the Detroit Pistons, and in return, they are receiving Dante DiVincenzo, Trey Lyles, and Josh Jackson. The Milwaukee Bucks are acquiring Serge Ibaka, 2 future second-round picks and cash from the Clippers, and the Clippers are receiving Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye. Now, according to James Ham, there is more to this deal to come, but according to Adrian Wojnarowski, I should say reported by Adrian Wojnarowski, that is the current deal between those 4 teams. The other deal that has been made is that Goran Dragic, Toronto's 2022. Hold on, that says first round pick, but I don't believe that's right. Oh well, Sham says this is the Raptors deal. So the Raptors are acquiring Thad Young, Drew Eubanks, and a 2022 second round pick. And the Spurs are acquiring Goran Dragic, Toronto's 2022 first-round pick, protected 1 through 14, and protected 1 through 13 in 2023, turning into 2 future seconds if it does not relay over. So Dragic and future picks heavily protected by the Raptors going to the Spurs. The other deal that was made that is very quiet, again, just a cap-saving move, was PJ Dozier and Bol are being traded from the Celtics to the Orlando Magic for a future second-round pick. And those are the only trades that have currently been made so far. The Orlando Magic will waive guard Etuan Moore. I think he will have some interest from contending teams just as a defensive guard. We'll see how that goes. And then lastly, the last big report that just came out was the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers were engaged in trade talks this morning centered around James Harden. And that's from Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports. And again, I want to ask the chat this, and I want to ask everybody here. Do you think that if the Sixers and the Nets come to terms on a deal, James Harden goes, and he's now a Sixer, and their big 3 is going to be Harden, Embiid, and Harris. Starting 5 will also include Danny Green and Patty Mills, presumably, because in this presumed trade that is being talked about a lot, this reported trade that is gonna happen if it does, is the Sixers would have to give up Ben Simmons, they would have to give up Seth Curry, Matisse Thybulle, and Andre Drummond, and in return they would get Patty Mills and James Harden. Does that take them to the next level? Are they now in the conversation as true East contenders, or do you still have the Bucks, who in my eyes are still the favorite, just continuity consistently? They're the champions currently right now. Giannis, Middleton, and Holiday, they just bring it when they're all healthy. Or do you say the Nets are still better than the Sixers because they're going to have a center now in Drummond, who whenever he gets minutes, he's a walking 2020 monster rebounding machine. They're going to have Matisse Thybulle, another defensive wing presence, and they're going to have Ben Simmons, which we don't even know for a 100% fact that he will come back and play, which I don't think anyone talks about enough. How do we know he will come play as soon as he gets traded? We don't. I believe that he will, but I'm just saying we don't. But are they still the favorites among everyone else because it's going to be Kyrie, KD, and Ben Simmons? I want to hear your guys' thoughts. Go ahead and leave them in the comments section below. You guys can also join live on Twitter, again, at VM Center. You guys see it right there on the bottom left of me. You can see at VM Center. You guys can join there. We're doing this live through Twitter Spaces as well as live here on YouTube. Click the guest eCam button there in the live chat. You can join on in. Let me hear your guys' thoughts and opinions on these current trades, on the James Harden situation, on what deals you would like to see happen, any questions that you guys have, as well as on Twitter Spaces. Guys, we can hear you. So if you guys want to join the conversation, go ahead and click that microphone button. Join on in. And yeah, let me get these thoughts going on. I have sound effects on YouTube. That's the cool thing about YouTube is I can control the sound effects. You get the background, you get everything. You know what I mean? So that's a lot of fun. But no real trades to announce other than that the Kings have traded Marvin Bagley and they've made Marvin Bagley, who most considered a third-round pick asset, and turned it into Dante DiVincenzo, Josh Jackson, and Trey Lyles. Kings got White Dante. They got the guy that they were going after when they were trading away Bogdanovich. So Monty has to be pumped about that. But again, it's very quiet in terms of trades. And I feel like it tends to be like that in certain ways where they're just waiting and waiting and waiting until something happens. And I think it's still just the James Harden situation. Is James Harden going to be traded? Is it going to be to the Sixers? And again, the most recent report came out just 10 minutes ago from Chris Haynes of Yahoo Sports, which is the Brooklyn Nets and the Philadelphia 76ers were engaged in trade talks this morning centered around James Harden. I think the key part of that sentence is the word were. Were engaged in trade talks. Does that mean it hasn't happened? It's gone away? Where is Jeremy Grant going to go? Does he stay? I do believe he stays. I think that unless he's going to the Blazers, I definitely think he's staying. Are the Kings done? I mean, this is youtube.com/SacKingsNation. I do cover the Sacramento Kings on multiple different platforms. Are they done making moves? I mean, they have a logjam, a big logjam now. They used to have a logjam at guard, too much talent at the guard spot, but now they have a logjam of just role players and a potential starting caliber center in Rashawn Holmes, but their center position, their big man position is clogged up now with Metu, Holmes, Len, Jones, Lyles now. I mean, I would even throw Barnes in that conversation, and of course, you can't forget about Sabonis, who's now going to be the key guy of the future for the Kings. I love that Monty's making the move of adding 3-and-D around their two key pieces now, which is going to be Sabonis and Fox. I just think that 1-2 punch makes sense. I love the deal as soon as it happened. You guys can check out that Twitter. I told everyone yesterday. I got people saying that they're screenshotting it. I said, keep the receipts. This is a 1-2 punch that you're going to want to build around Sabonis and Fox. And that's not me saying that I don't think Halliburton is going to be good. I think Halliburton is going to be a really good basketball player. But I made a stocks video for the Basketball Zone YouTube channel where I said, you got to view these players as stocks. And if Halliburton is a second-year IPO player, he probably started off at $30 a share. Maybe he's at $60. At a peak, you're selling on the word potential. You're selling Tyrese Halliburton, the word potential, and you're trading him away while also getting off of $40 million left of Buddy Hield's. Buddy Blunders are now gone. You got $40 million off of that. And you had to give up no first-round picks, and in return, you get a 25-year-old, two-time All-Star at the power forward center position that can pass? Oh, and you're going to own his bird rights, so you're allowed to offer him the max? And it's in the timeline with your current star that you just gave the max to in Darren Fox, who people just must have forgot how good he is when he had the ball in his hands. I think people don't give him enough credit for what he does when the ball is in his hands and how much Kings fans loved him for when he had the ball in his hands. He was putting up DeJounte Murray numbers. Again, I talked about that in the beginning of the show. He was averaging 25 and 7 while shooting 47.7% from the field last season. So I find that to be I just find that to be the very a non-talked about topic enough. It needs to be talked about more, just how good De'Aaron Fox is when he has the ball in his hands. And again, he's been a player throughout his entire basketball career, has always been the point guard with the ball in his hands. Always. And then they asked him this year, we saw potential in Tyrese. We think you guys can work good together, but we need you to play a different position. We need you to play shooting guard. We need you to be more of a slasher. We need you to improve as a catch and shoot shooter. And again, you guys forgot too, he was improving as a three-point shooter last season from the corner, and as well as taking shots off the dribble as a three-point shooter. Because he's a rhythm shooter. That's why his mid-range jumper is so good, because he dribbles in, gets there, stops, and hits that nice mid-range pop. Off the dribble as a three-point shooter, he's looked nice. Over his last 2 games, now that the ball has been in his hands, he's got 6 3-pointers in his last 2 games. I'm not saying that he's going to become this great three-point shooter or anything like that. I'm just saying that when he has the ball in his hands, he gets to build the rhythm. He gets to find the flow. He gets to dictate the flow of the offense. And again, with a guy like Sabonis who can give you the heavy screen to allow a guy that can switch gears and move at the pace that Fox does downhill, where that's almost unstoppable. I mean, he's gonna that 1-2 punch of Sabonis and Fox just makes sense to me, and it made sense as soon as that trade happened. And then to add and that doesn't get appreciated enough is the depth that they got with Justin Holiday and Jeremy Lamb. Justin Holiday is the big one for me. A career 37% three-point shooter, shooting 38% from 3 this year. Defense on the wing while adding a rebounding presence and an offensive presence on the bench. That makes sense to me. That's a phone call. We're ignoring that one. We're seeing what everyone's doing on Twitter at the same time. You want to join the show? Go in the chat. Hit that eCam button. I want to hear your guys' thoughts. I don't see any more breaking news. Dante DiVincenzo has a $6.6 million qualifying offer this summer. If extended, he becomes a restricted free agent. This is definitely a solid buy low move for Monty McNair. He could fit long-term, smart player, solid defender. That's from James Ham. Look, I agree. We already know that Dante DiVincenzo, the White Dante, is going to find and have a very significant role on this team, and I think he's going to be a really good, let's see, requested to speak. I don't know. You got to request again, buddy, because it is not allowing you to, there it is, approve. Ray Sean, what's up, buddy? You're joining on Spaces. You got to unclick that speakerphone so we can hear you. Pretty good, man. Pretty good, Enjoying the waiting game of whatever Woj or Shams posts. What about you? How you liking the Kings trade so far?
I love it, bro. I want to tell you 2 things though. First, Vince, I've been following you for like a while, man. Like, I need you to get back back onto like your podcasting, YouTube and thing, bro, because that was like super insightful. Been following you for years, man. I just want to tell you that. I appreciate you, man. You give good insight all the time, man. Like really good insight. And secondly, I was thinking,
appreciate you.
The ball hopped around last night, man. The ball hopped around phenomenally last night, and I don't know if that's just guys, of course, just trying to be unselfish, show guys that they're not selfish, but I just also, it was interesting to me how like Richaun Holmes was out for personal reasons, and then he came in and he played, but then he only played like 9 minutes. So it's like, I don't know if he's going to be traded today. I would assume so, because it's kind of a weird fit with him and Sabonis, I think. But I was wondering on your take of what type of players you think we can get possibly back for Richaun Holmes,
Well, first off, let me say thank you, bro. And look, I retweet every time. I see you, bro. I see you all the time retweeting the stuff and really supporting. So let me first off say thank you for the support, man. I really do appreciate it, and it's really helped me find a lot of different homes. But it's allowed me to keep growing and keep staying with it. And don't worry, the podcast is coming back. I'm here back. I'm bringing it back where it all started, bro. Back on YouTube. We're going to have the Kings Court here on YouTube, and I'm extending it even more so with adding more guests and covering more than just the NBA. That's why I changed it from just being the Kings Court YouTube channel to a Miracle in Sports, just because I'm going to start having some MMA guys on and things like that. So, again, thank you for that support. But to answer your question, for Holmes, look, my eyes for Holmes has always been it's going to be a team like Charlotte, a team like Toronto, and I get laughed at every time I bring up Toronto, which is I want to see how much they value Gary Trent Jr. Is Gary Trent Jr. untouchable over there in Toronto? And I've been told that he is. I've been told that he's definitely not going to be able to be had. So I find that to be very interesting. And then another one is going to be obviously PJ Washington. Can that be a deal that's made there? Malik Beasley is someone that I really like, but I don't think Minnesota would go for Holmes. The dark horse team I have, though, that no one really talks about is I think that there's going to be conversations with Dallas. And I think Tim Hardaway Jr. is someone that they could have their eyes on, but it's just that injury, right? And with the Kings already acquiring Dante DiVincenzo and, Justin Holiday and having these now wing defenders, is it bad to move Rashawn Holmes to the bench? So let me ask you that, Ray. Do you think you would be okay with keeping Rashawn on a very valuable contract until the end of the season to see what you can get then if a trade for a really good shooter just hasn't, come to light yet? Like maybe just having Rashawn Holmes as your backup to Sabonis is the way to win. What do you think about that?
No, that's not. I mean, I don't think it's the worst idea ever, but I just think about like the long-term, fit of it. Like right now, if we can't get anything for him, I don't think we should just give him away because, he's a fan favorite. We value him, you know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Like we actually value him. We got him on a great contract. I think, I also feel that, we have to find a way. I mean, I like the Toronto thing is interesting because for some reason, I like Gary Trent Jr. a lot, but I don't know if they're ready to give him up. And I also like Chris Boucher, the dude out of Oregon, the fucking the shooter. He's long, but
pause. I like Boucher. I think he's an interesting project piece. Still, he's very inconsistent to me though. Like, is he a power forward? Is he a center? You know what I mean? Like he's just that. He's like a tweener. You know what I mean? So that's that. But I agree. I want to know how much they think that they need a center, or if they're okay with running out Kem Birch, occasionally Chris Boucher, and they just acquired Eubanks. So maybe Eubanks is their guy. So
I think we need if we're gonna put a sit next to a guy, and I don't think Rashawn Holmes, he's not a rim protector. He's not that,
Yeah, for sure. But I'm going to go ahead and see my boy Leo. I'm going to try and see if he'll come back on again here now. But I appreciate you joining in, man. That again, I appreciate the support that you've been. I see you. I definitely see you all the time, supporting, sharing, and all those things. So let me just say thank you once again just for, the heavy support and the kind words that you did just jumping on this, man. So I really do appreciate you. Go ahead.
No, for sure, man. Definitely. I'm for sure a big follower, big supporter. I love the content that you bring. That's why I always love to tweet you because I feel like if there's you be putting out some trades and I'm like, oh my god, like not that one, but but I love it though, man. I love the content. Just having another King fan. I'm from Southern California, so it's not too many King fans out here. My friends kill me all the time for being a Kings fan. So I'm literally like 30 minutes away, 45 minutes away from Los Angeles. So all my friends are like Laker fans, and they kill me for being a Kings fan. So it's just interesting and really cool to have other fans out there, just actual King fans.
Yeah, man. I mean, I make a lot of these trades mainly just because I'm bored. Like, it gives you something else to talk about. People think I'm being serious all the time when I'm saying, give up. I mean, and I kind of am. I'm not going to say I'm pretending in terms of, like, wanting to go after a guy for Josh Hart and willing to give up a first-round pick, make it protected. But I'm just saying the idea of the trade, everything I put out doesn't mean have to be black and white. Like, this is exactly what he's giving up. But, like, the idea, these type of players, that's the type of guy you should be going after is kind of what I'm doing with a lot of these trades that makes sense for me. But I get a lot of hate, bro. I get so much hate on all those trades. I'm one of the worst. People tell me I should delete my account because I make too many dumb trades. But I appreciate you, Ray, again, man. And we'll talk again soon for sure. I appreciate you. All right, let me see if I can go ahead and reach out to my boy Leo and see if he can come on. Leo from Cowbell Kingdom, see if he wants to join on in. And again, guys, I want to hear your guys' comments below. Join the conversation. You guys can also join in live here on the live show by going on to the chat. You'll see the guest cam, and I'll even post it again just in case for some reason it disappeared because of a time lapse. But you can join on in, join the conversation. Video will be shown, we'll be side by side. Have a discussion just like me and Ray. And let me know what you guys think. And no breaking news yet. Still no trade to be announced. Most recent news that came out came from Sam Amick of The Athletic. And this says, things that make you go, Per source, there is a whole lot of optimism coming out of the Ben Simmons camp that a deal with Brooklyn gets done. Now, I'd have to dive on into the article and read it for you guys, but just that intro alone should tell you things are definitely brewing. Things are brewing, and I'm really excited to see what that could be. What is that trade going to be? So let's see here. If you guys haven't done so already, please do me a huge favor. Hit that like button so that we can continue to grow this show, keep on expanding and going through all of the the little modules that YouTube has, so we're growing there. If you're watching us through or listening to us through Twitter, be sure to retweet it. I'm about to send it out now. Join us live. And again, I want to hear your guys' conversations. I want to hear your guys' thoughts and opinions both on the Kings and the rest of the moves around the league. So I'm going to paste this here. Bada bing, bada boom. So if you're joining us late and you're just now arriving to the show, there's only been a handful of moves made. So let's go ahead and go through them here again. Sacramento Kings have traded for Marvin Bagley to the Detroit Pistons for Trey Lyles, Josh Jackson, and Dante DiVincenzo. The Pistons acquire Marvin Bagley. The Milwaukee Bucks acquire Serge Ibaka, 2 future second-round picks and cash, while the Clippers get Rodney Hood and Semi Ojeleye. I think the Clippers are going into full tank mode here. Kings seem to be in win now mode, right? Let me go look at the standings out west and see how many games back they are now. Are they really contenders for the play-in? Are you pumped if they make the play-in? So look, currently as it stands, the Clippers are in 8th place. Oof, I think they're going to start falling here, right? Kings are a game and a half out of 11th from the Blazers. 2.5 games back of the Pelicans for 10. And 5.5 games back out of the Lakers for 9th. So a lot has to happen. And again, 2 games, 3 games, it doesn't sound like a lot. But in terms of like NBA moves, it's a lot. It's a big amount. And you have to know that. That's not easy to come back from. But Kings are going to stay competitive. I love the Sabonis move. I really do think that it's going to happen. Jake Fisher from Bleacher Report says Brooklyn has called rival teams gauging trade interest in Matisse Thybulle. Sources said, in this scenario, the Nets are able to acquire the swingman from Philadelphia. Interesting. Again, it seems like the NBA and the NBA trade deadline is really... we're really just waiting to see that shoe drop. Is Ben Simmons going to be traded to the Brooklyn Nets? Frank Iola says Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, a first and a second pick is the Sixers offer, according to sources. The addition of Matisse Thybulle could get it done. Whew. We could be close. Rick Carlisle from the Indiana Pacers says that he expects Tyrese Halliburton, Buddy Hield, and Tristan Thompson all to play tomorrow against the Cavs. It's a fun fact for you guys. That's just going out there. But yeah, if you're joining late, again, my name is Vince Miracle. You guys can follow me on all social media platforms of @VMCenter down below. This show is brought to you by FanDuel.com. Everyone go to FanDuel.com, whether it's for the DFS side or for their sports book, and use promo code KingsCourt, the name of this podcast, and they will match up to $500 of your very first deposit. And this show is brought to you by RateCrushers.com, whether it be car insurance. Oh my goodness, it has happened. It has happened. It is official. According to Shams, the Brooklyn Nets are trading James Harden to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, and draft picks. Holy crap. Holy crap. That is a big move. Included in that deal is Andre Drummond. The Brooklyn Nets are trading James Harden to the Philadelphia 76ers for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 future first-round picks. My goodness. It happened. It's happened. The Nets are including Paul Millsap in the deal. Can I do it again? Can I hit it one more time? I think I need to. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. It happened. It happened. Wow-wee. Wow-wee. I'm blown away. I'm blown away. Wow. Wow. That's all I can say. Wow. I don't see anything about Patty Mills. I don't see anything about Patty Mills. I gotta put the sound effect again, guys. I gotta put the sound effect again. That's crazy. That is crazy. Man, that's a trade. That's a big trade. Now, who becomes the favorite between the two? I mean, does Ben Simmons automatically return? I mean, the optimistic out of his camp that he's getting traded to the Nets, maybe that's signs that he's willing to play in a 2-week after a ramp-up period. Maybe. Oh, my God. I'm speechless over here. Join the conversation, guys. Let me know what you guys think. But, man, I'm speechless. I'm legit speechless. According to sources, this is from Keith Pompey, who covers the Philadelphia 76ers, is that the Sixers are refusing to put in Matisse Thybulle in the deal. That's the holdup. So they didn't have to. They didn't have to give him up. I think they gave up an additional first-round pick. I think what the Sixers realize is our picks are basically second-round picks. We're going to get James Harden, and we're going to put him together with Joel Embiid. And, yeah, that's another. I don't know what else to say other than that. Just breaking news, man. Dude, that's insane. Insane trade. I'm really interested now to see what follows. So in the deal, it's James Harden and Paul Millsap going to Philadelphia for Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 future first-round picks. Guys, I'm literally blown away. Like, damn. It happened. Did Kyrie blow up this team? Damn. Damn. Oh, my God. That is an insane. Look, I mean, think about it like this, too. I mean, if you really think about it, to get Ben Simmons, Seth Curry, Andre Drummond, and 2 firsts, that's the best you were ever going to get for James Harden. You sold him at peak value. And on the Sixers side, you just sold Ben Simmons, who did not want to play, was causing a headache, and always keeping the attention on you for negative reasons other than Joel Embiid's been good and what's happening with Ben Simmons. Like, that negative attention was consistently around you, right? And now you got James Harden out of it. You got James Harden. Does that make you better? That's the real question. Like, wow, bro. Wow. I'm taken back.
Question, like,
I'm taken back.
wow, bro. Wow.
Taken back.
I'm
Anyways, that was me checking out the show. It looks like I'm gonna be guesting on another show here in the next couple minutes. So I appreciate all of you guys. We're gonna be talking about this more on the Basketball Zone YouTube channel. Please do me a huge favor. Thank you guys all for watching me here on YouTube for the last hour and 15 minutes. I'll be concluding the draft because I promised to do so on the Basketball Zone YouTube channel. But youtube.com/SacKingsNation. The Kings Court podcast will be coming back here on this show and everything like that. Thank you guys all for listening on Twitter Spaces. Shout out to Ray for joining in on the show and the sweet comments that he made about following me and things like that. But guys, breaking freaking news. I gotta hit it again. Ben Simmons has been traded to the Brooklyn Nets for James freaking Harden. Oh my gosh, man. This show has been brought to you by FanDuel.com. Everyone use promo code KingsCourt. They'll match up to $500 of your very first deposit. And, of course, RayCrusher.com. Let them know that we hooked you up and sent you over their way. Again, guys, thank you all for listening and paying attention to the show and really engaging with me here this past hour. And we'll be finishing it over there on the Basketball Zone. And until next time, guys, it happened. Man, peace.